welcome to the latest episode of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. As you can see, back in the surrounds of the shop once again. Now, if you've read my latest newsletter, I kind of gave an impression or a sneak preview of what this edition would be all about. And there's been a bit of a change of plan. I had intended to do the 3 releases or the 3 batches of the Bowmore Tempest 10-year-old, and when I went digging in the cupboard, lo and behold, batch 1 had disappeared. Well, it had been drunk basically, unfortunately, so that kind of put the kibosh on that one. So not exactly lacking for whiskey to taste and obviously whiskey to share with you. I thought change of plan is required. So for this evening we have the Old Pulteney range. Now a great substitute, I think you would say, and a lovely, great distillery. I mean, you know, I've been a fan of the Old Pulteney 12-year-old for a long time. When I first came across it, I remember it being very crisp, very briny, very much in the sort of style of old Scapa, which isn't surprising when you think about the location of the distillery, being within sort of spitting distance of John O'Groats, right up on the north of Scotland. In fact, it is the most northerly of the mainland distilleries, and that sort of rugged coastal character certainly comes through, or should we say did come through in the spirit way back when. Whether it's still to be found there, we shall no doubt find out when we start tasting. Incidentally, I'd like to thank Inverhouse Distillers, who are the distributors of Old Pulteney, for sending me the samples of these wonderful malts to taste and to share with you. So, without further ado, shall we get on and look at the range then? Okay, so starting with the 12-year-old, like I said, the 12-year-old used to be very crisp, very clean, very briny and windswept. So yeah, let's see if it's still that way, shall we? Now it's interesting that the nose has got a lot broader, which is something I've found in a number of whiskies that I've kind of come back to over the years, Colila being one for example, that seem to have put on a bit of weight. And this has got a lovely sort of honeyed, sort of slightly tropical fruit nose, little bit of brine, actually not as much as I remember it. Wonderfully fruity though, it's absolutely delicious. A little bit of spice, but gloriously clean. I mean, this is a lovely whiskey. I mean, when you think it's, you know, about 30 quid a bottle, I mean, you can't really go too far wrong with that. Yeah, it's just lightly tropical, or quite tropical in actual fact, with you know, this lovely honey character. Spices are coming through quite nicely now. A little bit of a herbaceous note now. This is a complex malt for a 12-year-old. Right. Okay. Shall we see if the palate is as interesting as the nose then? Very broad, quite tropically. A lot of barley, a little bit of grist, some spices. Very front-loaded with the fruit and honey, and then once it moves through that, then you're starting to get the coastal character. Again, it's not as coastal as it used to be. I guess the sort of the broadness of the fruit has kind of diminished that to a certain extent. Lovely length, you know, Little bit of sort of spice now coming through right on the end. Slight chocolatey note, little bit of wood tannin. Really, really well balanced, very succulent, full. Yeah, that's a good starter. That's a really nice one.
Angels from the sky and heaven, but now they are known as devils.
Right, okay, on to the 17. Now, I kind of had a bit of a love-hate relationship, I suppose, with the 17 over the years. Sometimes it's been, you know, really very, very good. Other times I've found it just to be a little bit too heavy on the sherry, a little bit too sweet, and not enough balance, not enough coastal character coming through to sort of, you know, offset all that sort of Oloroso character. So it will be interesting to see which, well, do we have the unbalanced or do we have the balanced? You know, so let's see what the nose gives us. Now, yes, you're certainly getting some lovely juicy Oloroso, probably refill, quite delicate, very, very herbal, a lot of sort of thyme maybe, and sort of brackeny like, not quite ferny, but sort of, you know, herbaceous. There's a nice sort of sugar dusting to the fruit, and certainly, you know, some chocolatey sort of coffee kind of notes from the Oloroso. There is a bit of brine. I don't think it's certainly not unbalanced. It's all quite delicate, quite elegant, and just really juicy, amazingly juicy, absolutely luscious. This is certainly one of the best 17-year-olds from Old Pulteney I've tasted, or nosed as the case may be. Right, okay, let's see what the palate shows now. Oilier, richer, the obvious sherry character is very much on the front of the palate. So you're getting sort of some wood notes, some mocha, some coffee. But this is actually really quite briny. It's probably more brinier than the 12-year-old. And certainly you get all that coming through right on the finish. So you're getting this lovely sort of flow, this sort of build up, this initial impact of sort of luscious, juicy, slightly sherried fruits, and then suddenly whoosh, in comes all this sort of salt and brine and sea air, which gives it a lovely dry finish. But the balance of the sweetness from the Oloroso cask, and to a certain extent the malt, is just about spot on. So the sweetness kind of lingers sort of around the edge of the palate, while the sort of the tongue is just sort of like completely salt encrusted. Yeah, that is a very, very, very good malt. Love that. Right, okay, on to the 21. Now, as a number of you will probably know, as you may well follow Jim Murray, this was last year's World Whisky of the Year, and well, shall we see if this lives up to that accolade, shall we say? Oh, yeah, oh, that is good. That is unbelievable. So complex, so much light Maluka honey, a little bit of coastal, even a little bit of grist in actual fact. It's just hugely tropical. Bit of banana, pineapple, maybe a little bit of kiwi, some very, very fleshy apricot. Oh, that is stunning. I mean, yeah, I think you were spot on there, Jim. A little bit of coffee, was it chocolate maybe? But oh, it's just so honeyed and so luscious. That is absolutely delightful. I mean, it's not cheap. I mean, it's about 80 odd quid, but oh, you know, if you're going to treat yourself, this is just fantastic nose. I mean, a little bit of coastal now, just coming through, but I mean, it's fighting its way through all that fruit and honey. Right, okay, palate time. Ooh, that glides. Quite spicy start in actual fact. Bit of cinnamon, but luscious, light honey, barley. It's a little less overtly tropical, more salinity, which is kind of like kind of keeping the lid a little bit on all that wonderful lush fruit. But the length is just fantastic. Broad, juicy, really complex. I mean, this is just going on and on. That is lovely, absolutely gorgeous. I think Jim was certainly right when he gave that World Whisky of the Year. I mean, because that's just a frighteningly good malt. Absolutely gorgeous. Right, okay, and on to the 30-year-old. Big step up in price from the 21. About 250 quid, but for that you get a lovely wooden box. Well, is it worth it? Shall we see? Now, yep, you can. It's certainly got a lot more maturity on the nose, a lot cleaner, a lot not harder, crisper maybe. Lovely sort of mature sawdusty oak, little bit of spice. Not so much in the way of fruit now. I mean, there is some tropical fruit, but it's the oak is obviously, from spending 30 odd years in the cask, the oak is obviously more dominating. But you know, underneath the oak, and I mean, it's not unbalanced at all. I mean, it's got a lovely balance to it. It's got a lot more crispness to it. But you know, there's still some lovely honey. And like I say, I mean, that sawdusty oak is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I love old Bourbon oak. Bit of spice. Just a smidgen of coastal character. Certainly nowhere near the amount of coastal character in the 21. But luscious, really, really nice. Okay, shall we see what the palate gives us then? Like on the nose, there's a lot more oak. Lovely, creamy American oak. A little bit of sawdust. Some lovely maturity. After that, you do get some of the fruit, slightly tropically still. A little bit of spice. Again, not quite as coastal, which is surprising. But obviously, I think that's because you've got more oak character than on the 21. But it's got a lovely warming spice kind of finish. It's light, but and elegant, but certainly it's got depth to it. Very, very gentle. That's lovely. That's really very, very nice. Right. Okay. So let's sum these up then. Old Pulteney. Really very, very good. You know, the whole range is very classy. Certainly you kind of pays your money and takes your choice, I suppose. The 12-year-old is just fantastic value for money. Always liked it. Like I said right at the beginning of the show, it's put on a bit of weight. It's got a bit, you know, I wouldn't quite say middle-aged spread, but you know, it's certainly got denser, a lot more tropical, a little bit less in the way of that sort of rugged, windswept character of yore, shall we say? But you know, like I said, 30 quid. You know, you could get an awful lot worse. 17-year-old, absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, you know, it's been hit and miss over the years. Sometimes it's been a little bit too heavy on the Oloroso, a little bit too sweet, but I think the current bottling is just got such a lovely balance. Very, very luscious. The 21, well, what can you say? Value for money wise, just mind-blowingly good. Absolutely stunning. I mean, like I said, I mean, if you're in the market to treat yourself to a very special bottle, you can't go too far wrong with the 21. It's juicy, it's luscious, it's exploding with, you know, so much fruit, really long, really complex, you know, absolutely fantastic. And the 30-year-old, a lovely mature malt. Yeah, okay, it's a bit pricey, and I think if you're looking at quality to cash ratio, I think the 21 is probably where I would go. But you know, that's not to denigrate in any way the 30-year-old. I think the 30-year-old is a beautifully mature American oak aged malt, and you know, I kind of love that kind of stuff. So. Like I said at the beginning of the roundup, I think you kind of pays your money and you takes your choice. You know, it's as simple as that. So you know, if this has kind of whetted your appetite to investigate the charms of Old Pulteney, all 4 of these bottlings are currently available on our website, www.gauntleys.com. If you'd like to have a look at my tasting notes and tasting notes of the other bottlings of Old Pulteney that I've had over the years, have a look at my WordPress blog. And I hope you enjoyed the show. So not really a great deal else to say apart from grab your 21-year-old and good evening.
They were once known as angels from the sky and heaven, but now they are known as devils, demons, alien monsters. Let them fill your dreams with wonder.
9 minutes and I've done 2. Bloody hell! I'll probably do the third, and that.
I mean, to be honest, it's not storage space on there. It's just there's a 20-minute cap per video, so.